expectation is there to see how he does. I can't wait to see how Kevin Kolb plays here this afternoon.
Well, everybody's looking forward to it, including his own teammates. He's waited 3 years for this opportunity, and his hopes are to take advantage of it. A little different style quarterback from what they've had around here the last 10 years. Kevin Kolb's going to rely on poise. He's going to rely on getting the ball to his receiver with accuracy. And he's facing one of the best defenses today from a year ago with the Green Bay Packers. However, it's a secondary that will be relying on some young players, and Kevin Kolb is hopeful that with his skilled young players of his own, that he'll be able to take advantage of some of those matchups.
So Donovan McNabb is gone. Kevin Kolb is here. And for Aaron Rodgers, he spent 3 years as the understudy to Brett Favre. He stepped in. He's been fantastic. You talk about the burden of expectations. People just expect him now to have a big year here in 2010.
Well, and they should. This is an offense that finished third in the National Football League last year in scoring. They returned all 11 starters. He's got a bevy of players to get the ball to, including Jermichael Finley, who they are expecting big things from him this year.
You just used the word bevy.
I did.
Let's go down to the field. Here's Pam Oliver. Pam.
Well, Joe, with all those weapons on offense, Mike McCarthy has had to address the potential for sulking. McCarthy says he will not tolerate bad attitudes from guys on offense with diminished opportunities. Of course, the subplot, Jermichael Finley, the best tight end in the game, so says his quarterback. Joe?
All right, Pam. Well, they are fired up on what is a cool, little breezy day in Philadelphia. Green Bay Packers will take the opening kickoff. 67 degrees, and this place is jammed. 69,144 is the capacity. And they'll be able to say they saw the start of the Kevin Kolb era here with the Eagles. But we'll get our first look at Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay offense. Glad you're with us. Jordy Nelson on the run from outside the 5. Returning kicks for the Green Bay Packers and can't make the 25. Riley Cooper, the rookie, downfield to make the stop. And here is Aaron Rodgers, who has had back-to-back 4,000-yard passing seasons. His third year as starter, and he is protected by a pretty good offensive line.
Offensive line that for the last couple of years has come into week 1 in a little bit of disarray because of injuries, but this is as good a group as Mike McCarthy has come into an opening day with.
Lynn, stone it.
Rodgers starts out with a throw and slings it low and incomplete for Jermichael Finley. Mike McCarthy, the head coach, said we're going to stay pretty close to the line of scrimmage, keep it simple early, then stretch the field late. There's a big addition. Stuart Bradley back in middle linebacker for Philly. We welcome in a new audience. Joe, Troy, and Pam with you from Philadelphia. First play from scrimmage. Aaron Rodgers incomplete for Jermichael Finley. 2nd and 10.
Go, you can rock it.
Rodgers fires wide for Greg Jennings. Let's go to Kurt Menefee for an early game break.
Controversial finish in Chicago. Lions down by 5, 30 seconds to go. Sean Hill hooks up with Calvin Johnson, both feet down, and goes to the ground with the football, but he lost it getting up. They review it, and they say he did not complete the process, therefore no score, and the Bears win it 19-14. Jim Schwartz and the Lions livid, but Joe, Troy, and Pam, or Mike Pereira says that was the right call by the officials.
I saw that. Pereira's 1 for 1. 3rd and 10. Cole came across early, and it's against number 58. We're on this side, John Perry.
Side, number 58, defense, unabated to the quarterback. 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
Somebody get word to John Perry that we're on this side.
Trent Cole may have done his defense a favor, because when the Green Bay Packers went into motion, there was some confusion there in the secondary with the Philadelphia Eagles.
This is a fast defense under the direction of second-year defensive coordinator Sean McDermott. 3rd and 5. Over the middle, pass incomplete for Greg Jennings.
You know, it's interesting, Joe, you mentioned it. Mike McCarthy told us just the other day that coming into this game, he wanted to be very conservative in the play calling and really allow Aaron Rodgers in this offense to settle in a little bit. And those weren't difficult throws that were asked of Aaron Rodgers, but he was off the mark on all three of them. On first down, he had a chance and a good matchup there with Jermichael Finley and failed to deliver the ball. And that's what happened on the second down and third down throws as well.
Maste will punt. Almost got it blocked, and Deshaun Jackson calls for a late fair catch. 41-yard punt, nothing on the return. We'll take a look at the offense for Philadelphia. And you have to circle number 4. And how about circle number 7? Right out of the gate, Michael Vick, who's the backup quarterback, and that wildcat option is in the huddle.
You know, I thought there was a chance that Michael Vick would get more playing time early in the season, but I did not expect it to be the first play of the 2010 campaign.
We saw them practice a play on Friday where Vick lines up wide, as he does here, gets a toss and then throws deep to Deshaun Jackson. That's Vick at the top. Instead, a spin and a throw to Selleck, and the big tight end lowers his shoulder and takes it to the 35. Went right through Charles Woodson, a penalty flag, and it looked like the Eagles were a little off getting off the line of scrimmage at the snap. There he is.
Illegal formation on the offense. Only 6 men on the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty, first down.
So it's a 5-yard penalty. We welcome in another new audience. It's 1st and 15. As you watch some of the finals roll in, the top right-hand corner of your screen, including that game in Pittsburgh. Low-scoring affair with the Steelers and Falcons. Cobb's first throw is a completion to Jeremy Maclin, who as a rookie last year had 56 catches, 3rd best in the NFL among rookies. And here are the backs and receivers. And Cobb, Troy's got some weapons, and we'll see how he's protected by that guy in the middle, Jamal Jackson.
Well, and that's the whole key. This offensive line, unlike Green Bay, I mean, this entire offensive line has not had any work throughout preseason. Jamal Jackson, who got injured last year late in the season, missed the last 2 games of the year, getting his first real action here today.
On 2nd down and 10, Cobb with a nice pocket throws, incomplete for Selleck. And while we look at the defense, it's a 3-4 under the direction of Dom Capers. Realize that B.J. Raji, who's now at nose tackle, all 337 pounds of him, will be pounding on Jamal Jackson, who's just over 8 months removed from surgery for a torn left ACL that, as Troy mentioned, he suffered on December 27th last season.
956. No, hey, run, solid. Huh? 180. What?
3rd down and 10. Blitz coming. That's Matthews, and Matthews drags down Kevin Cobb. As a rookie, he had 10. And here in the opener, the first series on defense, he's got his first coming from the other side of the defense.
We're going to see LeSean McCoy right here. He's going to step up and check Clay Matthews there in the middle. Clay Matthews does not come right away. And so what happens is McCoy then goes out into the route. And Matthews then has a free run at Kevin Cobb right up the middle.
A vicious sack for Clay Matthews, trying to knock the ball out. Forces the punt from Sav Rocca. And he hits a good one. Tramon Williams is waiting for it, calls for a fair catch, and hauls it in just outside the 25. How about another game break? Here's Kurt Menefee.
3rd straight meeting that the Falcons and Steelers have gone to overtime, but this one ends rather quickly. Rashard Mendenhall, 50-yard touchdown run for the Steeler victory, 15-9. Pittsburgh, 8 straight opening weekend wins. That's the longest streak in the NFL. Joe Joy Pan.
All right, Kurt, thanks. Both teams in this game went 3 and out. Either side ran the ball in their opening possession. First down, Green Bay.
Jam! Check 30! Ready! Go!
Out of the shotgun, wide open. Penalty flag on the play as Greg Jennings makes the catch. He's good for 6. We'll check the marker.
Offside. Defense, number 55, lined up in the neutral zone at the snap. 5-yard penalty, first down.
You know, an interesting look there, Joe, by the Philadelphia Eagles. They go with 5 down defensive linemen, but one of those guys was Stuart Bradley, the middle linebacker who you talked about, who missed all of last season. He got down in a defensive end position. He rushed from a 3-point stance.
Torn right ACL last year, didn't play at all. Tore his left ACL in college, and he's down again. First down and 5. Rodgers slings it, pass complete, Driver first down. A gain of 8, wrapped up by Ellis Hobbs, who's back after suffering a herniated disc in his neck and on IR last November.
Now, Green Bay there was in a 1-back set, and that's one of the things that defensive coordinator Sean McDermott talked about, that, you know, in looking at the Packers' tendencies, when they're in a 1-back offense, that's when Aaron Rodgers likes to get the ball out quick. That's when they throw the slants, and that's what they got there on that last play.
Blue 58! Blue 58!
On first down, first carry of the day, Ryan Grant over the right side, trying to get to the edge, and he's knocked out by Asante Samuel. A gain of just 2. There's Ryan Grant, who has had back-to-back 1,200-yard seasons last year. Averaged just under 4.5 yards per carry. For an offense that overall was ranked number 6 in the NFL. Another new audience joins us here late in Philadelphia. Each side has had it once. Second possession for Green Bay.
Blue 58! Blue 58!
Another run. Ryan Grant cuts upfield. Picks up 3. Troy, here are some of the big picture items and the starting points coming into this game. Obviously, Kevin Kolb is in the spotlight. The Eagles secondary will be tested, and Green Bay has got to live up to the preseason hype that has surrounded how good their offense is.
Well, they were so good a year ago on that side of the ball. You talk about the year that Aaron Rodgers had, really the last 2 years, throwing for over 4,000 yards. Played great in the playoff game last year, only to lose in the shootout to Arizona. But he was the hottest quarterback in the league coming into week 1. He was absolutely phenomenal throughout the preseason.
Third down and 5. Quick throw. James Jones, a first down in midfield. A gain of 7, and there's James Jones, one of the backup wide receivers, but terrific option for Aaron Rodgers, who told us Jones would be a 1 or 2 on some other teams.
Yeah, in fact, he felt that way about Jordy Nelson as well. I mean, that's that tells you how deep or how much confidence your quarterback has when you're talking about your 3rd and 4th receivers that on most any other team would be a 1 or a 2.
So you add those guys to Driver and Jennings, and then add in Jermichael Finley.
Blue 58! Blue 58!
Packers have it all. Rodgers in trouble. Just gets rid of it and completes it somehow to Donald Driver for 4 yards.
And Stuart Bradley, he's making his presence felt. Here he is right here in the middle, and he's just going to scrape off the edge. He's going to see the action there by the quarterback to his left. He keeps coming, initially thinking it's going to be an off-tackle run. And he puts the pressure on Aaron Rodgers and forces him to get the ball out of his hands.
The late Jim Johnson, former defensive coordinator for the Eagles, who passed away last summer, who was really excited about Stuart Bradley and how he was coming on before he was injured last year. Big piece of the puzzle is back for Philadelphia. 2nd and 6. Back in trouble, and down goes Aaron Rodgers. Wrapped up by Jaquaid Parker.
Well, the first thing Philadelphia wanted to do was get physical with Jermichael Finley when he got split out as a wide receiver. They were able to do that. Trent Cole, he just goes right through Chad Clifton there on the left side. And then Jaquay Parker is able to come in from the other side. You see the face mask there that went uncalled.
It's kind of how the season ended last year for Green Bay with a face mask penalty that was missed.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Out in the desert against the Arizona Cardinals. Officiating crew missed that. On the rebound, pass is intercepted by number 21, Joselio Hansen on the deflection. Quentin Michael knocked it into the air, and Hansen has his first. We'll take a break. When we come back, Kevin Kolb back to work as the Philly defense gets a turnover here early. For the first time since 1999, the Eagles have a season opener without Donovan McNabb at quarterback. It was Doug Peterson in '99. Now it's Kevin Kolb, who had 2 starts last year. Threw for over 700 yards combined in those 2 starts. He hands off. That's LeSean McCoy, who picks up 1, and we go back to the interception.
Yeah, here's Jermichael Finley. He's going to be trying to take the seam route here, but you've got Stuart Bradley who's going to wheel off of that, and he's getting underneath the tight end position. And as we talked about, Stuart Bradley is a big middle linebacker, and there's just not a lot of places there for Aaron Rodgers to try to fit that ball in, and it gets away from him. And then a good reaction there by the safeties. Both Quentin Michael driving on that ball, and then Joselio Hansen recognizing the throw and coming off of his receiver to make the interception.
Here is an end around to Macklin, and he's got a first down carry. 11 yards for Jeremy Macklin in his second year. And one other note on the interception by Aaron Rodgers: he threw only 7 all of last year, and the Green Bay Packers had the fewest turnovers in the NFL. And an unbelievable plus-minus rating of +24 to lead the league.
Yeah, in fact, even throughout the preseason, he did not have an interception either. And that's something that they did a great job of in protecting the football a year ago. And now here we go with Michael Vick, showing the package that he has within the Wildcat.
Fakes the handoff, rolls left, looks downfield, and now runs. And Vick, knocked down by Chiller, picks up 6.
You know, with Michael Vick and the packages that the Eagles have in for him, you know, you just knew that he was going to get more action coming into this season for a couple different reasons. One, Michael Vick's in better shape than where he was a year ago when he joined the team. And then also because Kevin Kolb is not an established veteran quarterback, him coming onto the field is met with much less resistance than what it might have been a year ago with Donovan.
Here's McCoy, cuts back upfield and has a first down inside the 30.
We'll keep an eye on Jamal Jackson there at center. Here he is, 67, right in the middle. He's got to take on B.J. Raji. They go a slant. Green Bay's running a slant. You've got Philadelphia blocking that down and creating some running lanes then for LeSean McCoy.
Michael Vick back in at quarterback. Rolls to his left, and there's nothing there. Knocked down by Nick Barnett, and a loss of 1.
There's a little bit of an unknown with this Green Bay defense, particularly there at linebacker. Nick Barnett, another one of those guys who didn't get much practice time this past August. Clay Matthews, we've seen him already come in and have an impact with the sack there on the first possession. But Barnett, he had a heck of a year last year, and he admits now that when Dom Capers came in as defensive coordinator and put in the 3-4 scheme, that he was not real excited about that. He thought he was going to have to take on a lot of blockers, and he ended up having a great year.
Career best 4 sacks a year ago. Off his back foot, and the pass incomplete, and Kolb ends up on his rear end as a penalty flag is thrown in the secondary. Pass intended for Selleck. And it's an offensive pass interference call against Philadelphia.
Pass interference, number 87. Offense, 10-yard penalty, second down.
That is the 4th Eagles penalty already, with 5.5 left in the first quarter.
Well, here's Selleck right here, and he's just running the seam route, and Clay Matthews is in coverage. He runs it, not a real good out and up. I guess he got him with that left arm right there. It really was not a push-off. I don't think Selleck was intending to try to get any kind of advantage, on the route. But there was a little contact there, and Kevin Kolb, he's got to be real careful. I mean, one of the things that has hurt him in his limited playing time is some of the lapses that he's had in trying to force some throws when they're not there.
Play action from Kolb. Throws it high and nearly intercepted. Tramon Williams got his hands on it. Pass intended for Deshaun Jackson, and really both quarterbacks a little off here at the start. It's 3rd and 21.
And this is something that he'll recognize as he gets a little bit more playing time. But Tramon Williams was baiting him right there, wanting him to throw the route, which he did, to Deshaun Jackson, and then come off of his guy and make a play on it. And he was there to potentially come up with the interception.
Now Kolb on the sideline again. And so a lot of Michael Vick. Eagles need a little more yardage to be in better field goal range for David Akers. Quarterback draw. They have that yardage. Short of a first down, but Vick gives the Philadelphia Eagles a better chance at 3 points. And now Jeremy Maclin gets up and starts shoving Tramon Williams. Brandon Schiller, they were all over there. Maclin was all alone.
One of the things I think you've got to guard against a little bit, or Andy Reid has to, is wanting to get Michael Vick on the field and let him have the ball in his hands to see what he can do. But at the same time, you've got a young, nervous quarterback making his first start of the season, and there's a lot of pressure on him and a lot of expectations, and you want to give him at least some time in there to settle in and not having to be coming in and off the field the way that he has here in the early going.
That 13-yard run makes it a 45-yard try by Akers, a Pro Bowler a year ago. And David Akers drills it. Troy, are you aware of any older quarterbacks that were veterans that might not have liked to come off the field for Michael Vick?
Might have known 1 or 2.
Yeah, he wore number 8 for the Cowboys. Kolb wears number 4 for the Eagles. 3-0 Philly. Category of points off turnovers, Philadelphia has 3 after the Joselio Hansen interception, with an assist from Quentin Michael. And now Jordy Nelson will take it from inside the 5, looking for a lane, crosses the 25 when Jeremy Maclin got into it with 3 players from the Green Bay Packers. His head coach Andy Reid was in the middle. Maclin a little outnumbered. Green Bay has it, down 3. One little injury note on the Green Bay side on that last defensive series. Cullen Jenkins left to get his hand x-rayed. 3rd possession for Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay, and they hand it off. Ryan Grant goes backward. Wrapped up by Trent Cole.
Yeah, Trent Cole, I mean, obviously he's known as a pass rusher, but look at the job that he does here against Chad Clifton playing this run. He holds his ground. He's butted up with Clifton, waiting to see where the ball carrier is going to take it, and then he sheds Clifton and he makes a play. Nice work.
2-time Pro Bowler, including last season. He's had 8 sacks or more every year since 06. 12.5 last year. 2nd down and 11.
Ready, go!
Silent count, and the pass incomplete, but interference on Jermichael Finley, with Stuart Bradley, the middle linebacker, back there for Philadelphia.
We've seen Stuart Bradley now a couple of times in a position. We saw it on the interception. The same type of coverage here.
Pass interference, defense, number 55. Contact without playing the ball. Automatic first down at the spot of the foul.
Here's Stuart Bradley, and you're going to see that he turns and runs, but he never gets his head turned around, and he didn't on the interception either. He's just trying to run with Jermichael Finley. There wasn't contact on the interception, but there was on that call.
I don't know about the spotting of the football here, where that interference took place, they only give the Packers progress to the 34. Rodgers throws and completes to Greg Jennings and shows off the strength of his arm. 13 yards, and Jennings, who had 68 catches and over 1,000 yards last year, is getting involved early.
Yeah, and you could see the amount of time that Aaron Rodgers and Greg Jennings have had together, not only in games and in practice, but also going back to the offseason. They began throwing in March, which seemed to be pretty commonplace back when I was playing. But the more I talk to a lot of these quarterbacks, they typically just throw with their guys when they're at the mandatory camps. But no question, Aaron Rodgers has a great feel for Greg Jennings.
Rodgers slings it, and after a juggle, a catch by Jermichael Finley. And Finley, who is too fast for linebackers to cover and too big for cornerbacks to cover, is good for 14.
Well, you're going to see Ernie Sims right here. He's going to go and take that throw away, but Aaron Rodgers holds the ball, waits until he gets into this window here before he delivers it, and throws it right off the back there of Ernie Sims.
Ernie Sims, in his first year with the Eagles, spent 4 with the Lions. He's been rescued. Here is a completion to Finley, who stays on his feet, gets around a tackle by Asante Samuel, and is good for 6. Samuel not able to bring down a guy who's 6'5", 247.
And Jermichael Finley, he's wanting to get over the sidelines and take a little bit of a break. But yeah, you can only imagine. I mean, the size on this guy, and that's what's got Green Bay so excited. Of course, when you come in and you just throw your shoulder at someone, you're not going to make too many tackles anyway. But he's got great size, great speed, athleticism. He's got the whole package.
So you didn't like that tackling technique of Samuel?
I don't like a lot of those corners the way they tackle.
2nd down and 4. Grant to the 30. 3rd and short coming up.
You know, we talked about Stuart Bradley, and he's been involved in a lot of action already here in the first half. And you know what a specimen he is. The size at 6'4", 260 pounds. When we talked to him the other day, Joe, I couldn't believe, because he carries it awfully well. But last year, there was a lot of talk about how this defense wasn't as dominant as it had been the year before. They were 3rd in the NFL, you know, back in 2008. A lot of it had to do with the fact they started 6 different guys there in the middle.
Big 3rd down and 2. Rodgers in trouble. And Aaron Rodgers will pick up the 1st down as he outruns Antoine Barnes, who was a late addition to this defense from Baltimore.
That's just good coverage right there by Philadelphia, because Aaron Rodgers had some time to get the ball out. He was wanting to take the middle of the field, but there was nobody open where Aaron was looking. And you know, this is something that I think is taken for granted as well with Aaron Rodgers. You know, he's also a pretty big quarterback, but yet he moves pretty well. Last year, as a matter of fact, was the 2nd leading rusher for the team.
Has great sense back in the pocket, when to tuck it down and run, and he picked up the 1st down, outrunning Barnes. And now a timeout is taken by the Packers. So Rodgers is starting to settle in. That could be bad news for Philadelphia. Eagles up by 3. During the break here in the stadium, they honored Sergeant William Rivers, a United States Marine who is here back home. We'd like to welcome the men and women in uniform serving around the world, watching today's broadcast in 175 countries on AFN, the American Forces Network. Thanks for all you do. We hope you're enjoying today's telecast, and it gives you a little slice of home. 1st down. Another throw from Rodgers, maybe. Nope. Down he goes, and it's Parker's 2nd of the day. After a career-high 8 last season.
Jaquay Parker comes off the edge. He's going against right tackle Mark Tauscher. Here's Tauscher here. And you're going to see, once Tauscher gets turned right there, it's too late. He's already opened the door, and he's off balance. And a guy like Jaquay Parker is able to just shed him and then collapse on Aaron Rodgers.
The rookie Brandon Graham, a first-round pick out of Michigan, is back in the lineup. He looked gassed earlier. Got him lined up on the inside. It'll be a 2nd and 15 play when we come back after a quarter. 3-0 Eagles. Back after this from your local Fox station. There are the first quarter stats. 1 quarter of play. The Eagles with Kevin Kolb and a lot of Michael Vick, -3 passing yards. This is the 3rd Packers drive. First one ended in 3 and out. The second one in an interception. This one 7 plays, 45 yards. 4.5 minutes off the clock. Rodgers, Cole. And a loss of 7.
Well, here's what you're going to see. Aaron Rodgers, he's looking off the defense, and then he comes back to Greg Jennings, and he's double covered, which Aaron Rodgers didn't pick up on a pre-snap read, and because of that, he had to tuck the ball down, and when he started to try to bail out to his right, Trent Cole had gone right around Chad Clifton there at left tackle.
Tauscher got worked at right tackle earlier. Now Clifton at left tackle, and it's moved the ball all the way back to the 36. Rodgers has been sacked 3 times. 3rd down and 22, and they hand it off. Brandon Jackson just inside the 32-yard line. A gain of just 5. And good work by this defense. And Antoine Barnes, who had pressure earlier in this drive, is down, and they'll give him a look. It will be 4th down when we come back, and a 49-yard try coming from Crosby. Antoine Barnes just got up. May have had the wind knocked out of him. Doesn't appear too serious at this point, but he was down for quite a while. Here is Mason Crosby, who last year field goal tries of 40 yards or more was just 6 of 13. This will be a 49-yard try. And Crosby, good start to his year. 3 points from number 2. And this game is tied. A long one from Akers, a long one from Crosby, to the delight of Aaron Rodgers. 3-3. If you notice something different, Fox Sports is presenting these games in widescreen, very similar to how you've been watching movies at home for years. Gives you the advantage of being able to see more of the players in the field itself. We're able to have our cameras shoot 25% more of the action, and it actually resembles more closely the way we see the world. The human eye sees more horizontally than it does vertically. Troy Aikman taught me this last week. Widescreen is considered to be a more natural view for humans, more closely simulating the way we see the world than the tunnel vision view without it. So think of it as twice as wide, not half as tall. And Justin Harrell, who left, injury to his left knee. Poor guy cannot stay healthy. Playing in just his 14th game in 3+ seasons after being the number 16 overall pick in 07. Here's a return by Hobbs, and Ellis takes it out to the 27. Take a break. When we come back, I guess we'll see Kolb or Vick. There's Kolb. 3-3. There is the family of Kevin Kolb, his father, football coach Roy, his wife Whitney, Linnell. They have a full luxury suite here in Philadelphia. And on first down, handoff is to McCoy. Had room to run, and then Clay Matthews made a very good play, a gain of only 3. About a little more about Kevin Kolb. He's from Texas, Stephenville. Some of his interests, he competes in fishing tournaments. It's us putting the hats on him, by the way. A wild hog hunter, and wants to become a volunteer fireman.
Well, he quarterbacks here in Philadelphia long enough. He'll be putting out a lot of fires.
2nd down and 7. Wonder if McNabb's watching and smiling in Washington. That pass is caught by Macklin, a gain of 6.
You know, I've had a chance to get to know Kevin Kolb a little bit, spend some time around him, and I really like the guy. I think that one of the things that he brings to this offense is some real poise. I mean, he's a cool, calm, collected guy, and he's got a lot of talent. And I know that the organization, Andy Reid in particular, is awfully excited about him. And you know, the difference with all these quarterbacks around the league, they all have the talent. When you hear guys say they can make all the throws, well, heck, every quarterback in the league can make all the throws. It's what they do with the decision-making process that separates the great ones.
Right guard pulls, and Michael Vick carries and has enough for first down. Do you like what they're doing here with Michael Vick?
Well, I mean, Michael, other than the one run on 3rd down, which got him in field goal range, and Green Bay was playing soft, I mean, they haven't been overly effective with him in the game. But you look at the number of minutes that Philadelphia's had the ball, you know, 7 minutes is all they've had, and yet they've been putting Michael Vick out there on the field. I like that they got him out there and showed him, but right now, the way this game's unfolded, I'd like to see Cobb on the field more.
Here is the fullback, Pro Bowler last year, Leonard Weaver, good for 1. As you said, give Cobb, and now Leonard Weaver is injured. And that'll bring Andy Reid out onto the field. This is a roster that does not have a backup fullback. Oh, a nasty injury to the left leg of Leonard Weaver. Take a break and come back. A huge hand for Leonard Weaver, who had a brilliant season in 2009. It's a Pro Bowler. Carried the ball 70 times, averaged over 4.5 yards per carry, caught it 15 times, 2 touchdowns, and just a gruesome injury to that left knee.
Well, you kind of wonder where they would have been a year ago without Leonard Weaver because of the injury to Brian Westbrook. He got a lot of carries, as you said, 2nd leading rusher last year on this team. They were already thin at the tight end fullback position. Of those 2 positions, only 3 guys on the roster. Leonard Weaver would be the only fullback, and then only 2 tight ends, and so that's a significant injury to this offensive unit.
2nd down and 9. Cobb is sacked. Pressure right up the middle, and B.J. Raji was right in there. And Raji, who had 12.5 sacks in college, gets his first in the NFL.
You got Charles Woodson there on Deshaun Jackson, and he just doesn't have time. He gets separation from Woodson, but Kevin Kolb just had no chance. B.J. Raji just brought the pressure right up the middle. And then they got Nick Barnett following in behind that. It was just an absolute collapse of the pocket on Kevin Kolb.
It's actually number 2 in the young career of Raji, who was first-round pick last season. Gets one in the opener, and this one is batted and picked off by who else? Charles Woodson. Tramon Williams got his hands on it first, and Woodson, bad toe and all, won't go down until he gets to his own 45.
Well, this is what I was talking about, Joe. It was just a poor decision right from the beginning. Not a good throw, but it was a ball that should never even have been attempted.
Woodson had 9 last year. Did he secure it going to the ground? They may look at that. When we went to break, they showed the replay here in the stadium, and Andy Reid immediately threw the challenge flag as this ball was cradled against the body of Charles Woodson, and then the ball hits the ground, shifts, then he regains control. Mike Pereira, who's listening to us during the break, he used to do that when he worked for the league, second guessing us. Now he works for Fox, and he believes that that interception and call on the field will be overturned. Woodson, who had 9 and was the defensive player of the year in 2009. First cornerback to win that award since Deion Sanders in '94. In our estimation, almost had it, but did not secure it all the way through the catch. Same thing happened to Calvin Johnson and the Detroit Lions in what was nearly a win in the opener at Chicago, when Johnson dropped the ball going to the ground at the back of the end zone.
Yeah, but I think you got to go back to the decision that Kevin Kolb made in trying to force that ball in there. Tramon Williams, the corner, who was the one in coverage, he was in a great position to defense that ball the entire way. In fact, he was on top of Deshaun Jackson. There was really no place to put that ball. And I agree with you, Joe, that the ball's going to come back and it's still going to be Eagles possession. But they are very fortunate because that should have been a pretty easy interception by really Tramon Williams, but he's not able to make a play, and then Charles Woodson wasn't able to haul it in either.
Going to the ground, you have to maintain control. Meanwhile, it might just be a stat, because even if the play's overruled, it'll still be a punt coming from Philadelphia, as it would be 4th and 19 at their own 30.
You know, the one thing that I have seen from Kevin Kolb in the few times he's played, of course, the 2 starts last year, and then the other times when he came in off the bench there for Donovan McNabb, is, as I said, I think this guy is going to go on and be a terrific quarterback in this league. But there are 2 or 3 times a game to where he'll make it. There'll be a lapse in judgment, and he'll try to force a throw that will hurt his team. And that was one of those there.
Here comes the call.
After reviewing the play, the ball did hit the ground without player possession. Therefore, the pass is incomplete. It'll be 4th down. Please reset the game clock to 11 minutes. Philadelphia is not charged with their first team timeout.
Well, we'll see what kind of a trade-off it is in yardage, but that's basically what it looks to be at this point. And Woodson's got that look on his face. He knew it. He thought he had his first. He had 9 a year ago, 3 touchdowns. He's just got one of those guys that has a nose for finding the football.
Well, really, that entire secondary does. Of course, they got the rookie Morgan Burnett, but of the 3 guys that started the game today, last year, collectively, they had 19 interceptions. I mean, there's a lot of ball hawks on that back end for Green Bay, and so you've got to be real careful as the quarterback on where you're trying to fit some of these tight throws. And I thought it was interesting in talking to Dom Capers, as great a year as Charles Woodson had last year, I mean, he still feels that there's more within the scheme that they can do with him. Now, he just signed an extension, and I think one of the reasons why they did that, even though he's up there in age, is because they believe that he can make a heck of a safety, a lot like Rod Woodson, who also learned under Dom Capers whenever he's done playing corner.
Rocket hits it. Tramon Williams, the other corner for Green Bay, on the return. Williams cannot get out to the 25, so instead of having it at their own 45 because of the interception that's overruled, now Green Bay will start at their own 23. How about a report on Leonard Weaver? Let's go down to Pam Oliver.
Yeah, Joe, after that last Eagles offensive possession, a bunch of Eagles players looked up at the replay screen in horror after watching that injury to fullback Leonard Weaver. One player actually got nauseous. It's a left knee sprain, according to the Eagles. Weaver will not return.
All right, Pam. The Eagles gained 22 yards of field position because of that challenge. So from the 23, handoff is to Ryan Grant. He's made no impact in this game. He gets 1. We look ahead to October and postseason baseball here on Fox. And some different teams than we're used to on the National League side. Teams like Cincinnati, Atlanta back in the fold. And then what's going on out in the NL West with that battle between the Giants and the Padres. The NLCS begins right here October 16th on Fox.
I'm not going to say anything about the Padres. Last time I asked for more coverage, they lost 10 in a row.
Right.
Right here. Right here.
Second down and 9. Pressure from the rookie. He can't get there, and the pass complete to Finley. Brandon Graham got through, but it's a completion for 7.
Yeah, that was about as easy as it's going to get for Brandon Graham. Josh Sitton, the right guard, he just completely turns him loose. Brandon Graham had a free run. You're going to see him right here. He's just got a free run right at Aaron Rodgers. Like he was expecting a little help there from right tackle Mark Tauscher. You know, we talked about this offensive line coming into the game, how good Mike McCarthy felt about him. But I'll tell you, that defensive line up front for Philadelphia has gotten after him here in this first half.
Third down and 2. Rodgers, time running out. Pass complete, but short of a first down to Brandon Jackson. It's an offensive line that was awful early for Green Bay last year, and they're struggling here against the Eagles.
You're going to see Finley. He comes off the ball. Easy completion there to him for the first down, but I don't know if the push inside on Aaron Rodgers, he just couldn't see him or was looking elsewhere and wanted to go somewhere else with the football. But had he have been able to see Jermichael Finley, who came right across the middle of the field, that would have been a real easy first down completion.
Mastay hits it. Deshaun Jackson with a fair catch. He makes it look so easy as he hauls it in. 48-yard punt. Eagles have it at their own 22. Back to work, Kevin Kolb, tied at 3. New in 2010, the centers are wearing microphones. So with this possession here early, the Philadelphia Eagles will be quiet, step aside, and you can enjoy it as we crank it up. Penalty flag as Mike Bell is spun around after a gain of 9, and it's a hold against the Eagles.
Holding, number 71. Offense, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Vic out, Kevin Kolb back in.
It was a pretty easy call there on Jason Peters, who, you know, even though he was a Pro Bowl player last year, he was very inconsistent in his play. You see him there at left tackle, and Brad Jones, the outside linebacker, tries to come off of that block, and he grabs underneath his shoulder pads, and there's the referee and the umpire right there to make the call.
180! 180!
That's just the 3rd time the Eagles have thrown to Deshaun Jackson, and he still does not have a catch. And you can see the frustration in his body language coming back to the huddle.
And overall, I think this offensive line has done a pretty decent job in terms of protection. I know that was a huge concern coming in, but going up against this big physical defensive front and a pretty active linebacking core with Green Bay, you know, they've done a pretty decent job of giving Kevin Kolb some time.
Now Mike McGlynn is in a tackle. Kolb on second down is flushed to his right, throws underneath. That's McCoy, and he is sandwiched at the 18-yard line, a gain of 6. So Jamal Jackson, who is just over 8 months off ACL surgery, now they're looking at his right arm, maybe right elbow, on the sideline for Philadelphia. He is such an important part of this puzzle for the young Kevin Kolb, calling out protections and helping get that offense set. It's 3rd down and 14. And Cobb's in trouble. Matthews knocks it out. The ball would have been out of bounds. It hit an official, stayed in play. They're ruling it out. And now Kevin Kolb is slow to get up. Realize that Clay Matthews missed 29 days with a hamstring pull, and he's been flying all over the place, and now the family of Kevin Kolb hopes he's all right.
This tells you the athleticism of Clay Matthews. I mean, a guy that's 260 pounds, and he's able to run down Kevin Kolb from behind. Kevin had no idea that he was being chased from the backside, but the Green Bay Packers dropped 8. They rushed 3. There was nowhere for Kevin Kolb to go with the football, and we'll find out if he's going to be okay.
He's able to pop up and walk to the sideline. But this is a game reminiscent of the Thursday night start between the Vikings and the Saints. You expect a ton of offense. Less than 100 total yards of offense with 7.5 minutes remaining in the second quarter, and Kevin Kolb, part of a passing attack for the Eagles. It's in the negative yardage as Rocca hits a beauty, and a fair catch inside the 25 by Tramon Williams. It's in his lap. Kevin Kolb getting the start. It's his offense, and he got the hit and the drive into the ground by Clay Matthews.
Well, you see his head there when Clay Matthews came in and made the tackle. He was able to wrap Kevin Cobb's arms, and so there was nothing that Cobb could do to break his fall. And of course, you got grass there in his face mask, and that's what hit the turf first.
Talking about his jaw over on the sideline. First down, Green Bay, 3-3 game from the Packer 24. Handoff is to Grant, his best run. And Ryan Grant picks up 12. Nate Allen, the rookie, and the newest attempt by the Eagles to fill the void left of the departure of Brian Dawkins at free safety made the stop. And in this era of heightened awareness of concussions, that drive into the ground, they're giving Cobb a lot of attention on the sideline. Handoff is to Grant, trying to get him rolling. Michael in on the stop with Bradley, a gain of 8. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
Here's a blast from the past. Remember Mike Williams, the wide receiver out of USC, drafted number 10 overall back in 2005 by Detroit? He's been out of football since 2007. His first catch as a Seahawk, down at the 1-yard line, Matt Hasselbeck ran it in for a score, and the Seahawks lead San Francisco 7-6 late in the second quarter. Joe, Troy, and Pan.
All right, Kurt. Somewhere Matt Millen is saying, oh, now you want to play. Thanks a lot. Here's Grant right up the gut. Inside the 40. An 18-yard carry by Ryan Grant before Quentin Michael brings him down, and now Ryan Grant is injured.
Wow. You see Corey Hall here at fullback. He's going to lead the way. They go with their 2 fullback set, and just a good job there in the middle by left guard Darren College. He's able to seal the lane, and then Corey Hall seals the left side of that, and it gives Ryan Grant a clear lane. And then you see that right knee there with Quentin Michael falling on the right knee there of Ryan Grant.
Grant able to get up, but he is limping severely going to the sideline. Grant on this drive, 3 runs, 39 yards. Like he started to get on a roll, and now he is hurt.
You know, that tackle right there is what you saw so many times with that horse collar tackle, and that's why they outlawed it in the league. That was a legal tackle. I'm not suggesting that it wasn't, but it was the same type of whiplash effect there on the lower body.
Push.
5.5 to play in the first half. First down. And Aaron Rodgers just slings it. Pass complete. Penalty flag on the play. Pass was caught by Donald Lee, a loss of 1. And it looks like a tripping call against Green Bay.
Tripping, number 73, offense, 10-yard penalty, first down.
Yeah, I don't know about that one, Joe. It looked to me like Darren College was in a pretty good position. He just got beat. Here's Darren College right here, the left guard. As you're going to see, he gets pressure. You got Cole who comes up inside. Well, no, he does. He sticks out the right leg there at the last minute. That was a good call.
College had to hold off a charge from Brian Bulaga, first-round pick from Iowa. This offensive line, it's been a struggle for a lot of this first half for Green Bay.
Ready, go!
Rodgers throws it. Greg Jennings with a catch inside the 40. A gain of 9.
Well, just about every time, you know, Aaron Rodgers getting harassed. He got knocked down on that play, and you know, for a defensive front going up in this.
Stuart Bradley, Troy, I don't mean to cut you off, but he got up, staggered, tried to take 2 steps, and just fell down.
Well, he came in at the end of that play, trying to make a tackle, and went in head first, and clearly confused and dazed after the play was over.
Oh.
Here he is right here.
Right into the right hip of Ernie Sims. Bradley, who missed all of last year here in the opener, and it's one player going down after another. That's hard to watch.
Wow.
Moments ago, Ryan Grant hopped off the field into the dressing room. And now Stuart Bradley is at least seated, but as I talked about with regard to Kevin Cobb, they will be extra cautious. They're thinking about putting him back in the game. That looked awful. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt Menefee.
Well, Beanie Wells is inactive for the Arizona Cardinals because of a knee injury. Tim Hightower getting more carries today. Nice cut back. He runs it 20 yards down to the 1-yard line and then scored on the very next play to give Arizona a 10-3 lead over the Cardinals, or over the Rams, pardon me, late in the second quarter. The old St. Louis team leading the new St. Louis team. Joe?
All right, Kurt. Well, Bradley started to walk and then he jogged off to the sideline, which got a reaction.
Well, I got to tell you, Joe, it's hard to imagine him coming back into this game. You know, in light of what we just saw, with all the attention paid to head injury, it's hard to imagine that he'll be put back in.
So now Omar Gaither, who for a while was the middle linebacker last year, is in at his spot as Brandon Jackson carries it and takes it to the 35. 45 players are active on game day, and we've seen one guy after another hobble off this field. In fact, now at least Cobb's up throwing the ball after that hit by Clay Matthews. Colin Jenkins is playing with a big club on his left hand when the Eagles have the ball. It's 3rd and 8. Rodgers rolls to his right, throws across the field, and what a catch for a first down by Jennings. Up into the air and with one hand, a 16-yard catch.
That was a great catch and a good call, really, by trying to move the pocket. So much pressure on Aaron Rodgers throughout this first half. Move the pocket, let him get out on space, try to see the open receiver. He spots Greg Jennings, ball gets away from him, but one heck of a catch by Greg Jennings on the play.
Maybe one of the best receivers in the league you haven't heard of, because he is not a look-at-me guy. 1,000-yard season last year.
He's out.
158! 158! On first down, Brandon Jackson goes nowhere except into the arms of Bunkley. And Stuart Bradley is back in the game.
Well, that surprises me.
Me too. So whatever tests were performed, whatever hurdles he had to get over on the sideline, to the Eagles' satisfaction, he's okay to return. Second down and 10. Out of the backfield, Brandon Jackson on the run. Good throw by Aaron Rodgers, and Jackson takes it to the 7. And Stuart Bradley is back there to make the stop. 1:59 left. 2-minute warning in Philadelphia. Packers on the move. 1:59 left in the half. In the Fox box, as you look at the bottom half, you see the passing yardage 0 for Philadelphia. Timeouts are shown. First and goal from the 7. 2 timeouts left for Green Bay. It's Brandon Jackson, place of the injured Ryan Grant. Troy, you can highlight where the timeouts are on the Fox box.
How's that? You like that?
Good. Yeah, it's nice.
As good as it gets right there.
And the Eagles now will be left with 2 as they take their first.
You know, what happened to all those weapons we were talking about with Green Bay?
I don't know.
This game.
Well, we've seen
this high-flying Green Bay offense. What happened?
Yeah, it's grounded. But the same for the Eagles. I mean, this has been, you know, it's going to be more than a half, but you don't get a very long honeymoon when you're Kevin Kolb taking over for Donovan McNabb in your first start of the season, third career NFL start. He's made some mistakes, had an interception that was taken off the board, but so far the combination of Kolb and Vick has done nothing, and it's 2nd and goal. Throws, and Jordy Nelson wasn't ready for it.
Pretty tough catch right there because of the distance between that throw and then the reception. Jordy Nelson, you know, you want to try to put that ball out in front and down low, and this ball comes up behind him and high. But you protect the receiver a little bit if you're able to put that ball down to where he can protect himself before the hit. 3rd and goal.
Blitz, the pass, the touchdown, Donald Driver. That is career touchdown reception number 50. And it gives the Green Bay Packers a lead with 1:48 remaining.
Well, these two guys have done this before. I mean, you're going to see Donald Driver there in the slot. He just crosses the goal line and runs a curl route, and Aaron Rodgers anticipating the route, and he turns it loose. And this one he does put in the perfect location to where only Donald Driver can then make the play.
Driver now ties Max McGee on the all-time list with his 50th.
Previous play will be reviewed.
We're going to review that last play. That looked about as clear touchdown as you're going to see. Don Hudson, by the way, is the all-time Packer leader with 99 touchdown catches as a Packer. See if the ball comes out maybe at the end. That's what was talked about so much, Troy, in that Detroit Lions game.
If it did, I sure didn't see it. I thought it was a textbook catch there. Did he roll over on it? He did, but he's got his arm and his hands underneath it. I don't see anything there that's going to cause them to overturn that. But you know, how about Donald Driver at 35 years old and in his 12th season? And I asked Mike McCarthy the other day if he had seen any signs of Donald Driver slowing down, and he said that he hadn't seen anything, that this guy is still practicing every single day, showing up, still has the speed and the quickness that he's always had. He's a tough guy, and he rarely misses any games. In fact, they said that throughout training camp, they this year had to force him to take some practices off just so he could rest his body, knowing that that would be in his best interest, and he didn't much like it.
He's always got that smile. One of the nicest guys you'll meet in this league right now. And it looked to me like a solid catch all the way through to the ground, maintaining possession. But we wait for the call from John Perry.
You know, you mentioned Greg Jennings, and you know, and how a lot of people don't know about him because he just goes about his business. Well, Donald Driver's the same way. He's been playing at a high level for a long time in this league.
You mentioned it earlier when you talked about head coach Mike McCarthy saying with a preemptive strike, I don't want to hear about guys not getting the ball enough. We've got a lot of weapons. Get some first downs. That'll give us more opportunities to get the ball to you and be quiet.
Yeah, I think after this game, at least if it continues on this pace, that they'll be talking about just trying to get the ball to someone, you know. so
I know that he was looking forward to watching this team play today because there always is that unknown as to how a team's going to perform.
After reviewing the play stands as called. Touchdown.
And so now with 1:48 remaining in the half, we'll see how Kevin Kolb does with 2 timeouts left, trying to get his team down the field.
Yeah, I think this will be an interesting decision for Andy Reid as to how aggressive he's going to want to be in this situation. I mean, 1:48 is a lifetime in the National Football League, but you know, knowing that it's been a little bit of a struggle here for Kevin Kolb, and you know how much
will he want to put in his hands here in this next possession?
It's 10-3. As you look at the numbers for the scoring drive, Jennings made that third down catch. We showed you that graphic. Last season, Aaron Rodgers was unreal on third down, leading the league in quarterback rating by a mile. 14 touchdown passes on third down, no interceptions all season. And Rodgers gets his first touchdown pass of the year. Visa halftime reports coming up. Kurt, Terry, Howie, Michael, and Jimmy will have scores and highlights from around the league. The Fox Sports Ticker will keep you updated with up to the second stats.
You know, it's funny, Joe, you bring up Aaron Rodgers' passing stats there on third down last year. I mean, they were really remarkable. On any down, they would be pretty remarkable. But, you know, I'm amazed when we get ready for these games how many of these quarterbacks throw the ball better on third down compared to first down or second down. I mean, back when I was playing, which wasn't all that long ago, first down was the easiest down to throw the football on, but that doesn't seem to be the case anymore. I mean, so many of the top guys, Tom Brady, Peyton Manning, Tony Romo, Aaron Rodgers, these guys, they throw the ball better on third down. And I think that because of the rules that are in place, it's in a lot of ways, it's not that way here today, but in a lot of ways, it's become a 7-on-7 drill to where quarterbacks are afforded a lot of time and have the ability to pick out some pretty talented guys running down the field and catching it.
Line drive kick. Ellis Hobbs on the return. Eagles need a good one. And Hobbs stumbles as he gets to the 25. He made it to the 26. Next week, this group will be in Dallas. Cowboys play tonight at Washington. It'll be week 2 and a matchup between those guys and the Chicago Bears, who, because of a call on a play in the end zone and a touchdown that was overturned, they started the season 1-0. So Jamal Jackson is out with a right elbow injury, and Mike McGlynn is in at center. And that's Deshaun Jackson, who does not have a catch. A blitz, plenty of time, and Cobb throws it almost right into the hands of Clay Matthews. Trying to force it to Deshaun Jackson.
Well, Clay Matthews starts on the line of scrimmage as if he's going to come on the rush, and then he drops into coverage, and he just wasn't seen. I mean, you can see that he was hiding in between some players that were running routes, and that's the guy who Kevin Cobb didn't see. Didn't look very good. And you say, how do you not see that guy? Well, he got lost in the confusion of some of the other receivers that were running routes.
Out of the shotgun, Cobb finds LaShawn McCoy. Makes a move, brought down by Tramon Williams, a gain of 6.
You got Green Bay here with 2 timeouts, and you know, you're not careful. You don't convert here. Now you're giving the ball right back to Green Bay with a chance to come away with some more points before the half.
It's 3rd down and 4. Cobb over the middle. That's into the air and caught by McGlynn. But it's short of a first down.
Pretty nice catch by the big fella.
Mike McGlynn is at center and snapping the ball for the first time in a regular season game. He was there during the preseason, and he was in the right spot as LaShawn McCoy had to go off his right knee. McGlynn made the catch, and if nothing else, avoided a costly turnover.
Well, who says centers can't jump? Here you got McGlynn, and he didn't look like he was all that excited about it, but I can guarantee you inside he's doing a fist pump like you can't imagine. As a lineman, you can't show too much excitement.
And in this 10-3 game with 44 seconds left, the Eagles are about to punt it back to Green Bay. And as we welcome you inside the booth, we've seen Aaron Rodgers have spurts where he's looked like Aaron Rodgers, and we have not seen really anything offensively from the Philadelphia Eagles, and in particular at the quarterback position, yet.
No, we haven't seen much. I think what Dom Capers and his defense has done has been awfully good, because there were so many question marks, so much uncertainty. I mean, a defense that was outstanding a year ago, but they hadn't been playing together throughout preseason, and they come in here and wonder how it's all going to come together. And Clay Matthews in particular, who had next to no practice time, has been exceptional.
And he's playing a new side of the defense. Rocca punts it. Fair catch, and now staying away from it. Ooh, dangerous play by Tramon Williams as he made the dive and secured it. 44-yard punt, nothing on the return, and the combination of Aaron Rodgers and Donald Driver good for the last score. They're about to head back to the field, and I don't expect Green Bay to sit on the ball here.
No, I don't either. I mean, they fully trust Aaron Rodgers, and why wouldn't they? And I thought that picture there of he and Donald Driver, said a lot of things. And, you think about what Aaron Rodgers has been through. It's been talked about a lot this week because of what Kevin Cobb's trying to do in replacing Donovan McNabb. And, there is no doubt that this is Aaron Rodgers' football team.
Starting the shotgun. Quick setup and throw, and wide open, and with a first down and out of bounds is Greg Jennings. That was pitch and catch in front of Ellis Hobbs.
Yeah, a lot of times you get in these situations before the end of a half and the defense gets a little soft, just not wanting to give up the big play, because as we know, the Packers have some big play ability, and Hobbs played awfully soft, and real easy to, he keeps playing like that, they'll keep throwing it.
Now it's James Jones at the top of your screen. Jennings at the bottom. That was Antoine Barnes who came across. Was he drawn off the discussion?
Neutral zone infraction. Number 51, defense in the neutral zone, which caused the reaction by the offense. 5-yard penalty, first down.
Eagles now have more penalty yardage in this first half than yards of offense. And they've thrown now for a total of 7 yards, the Eagles, while Aaron Rodgers is up to 92 yards. It has a touchdown pass. It's 1st and 5. Finley at the top of the screen. Rodgers throws to Driver. Makes a move and has a first down at the 45. And now a timeout, the final one taken by Green Bay as rain starts to fall here in Philadelphia.
We had a chance to talk to both of these quarterbacks, Aaron Rodgers and Kevin Cobb, and we knew that it was in the forecast to have rain today. And we asked them if they had trouble throwing a wet ball, and they both kind of looked at me funny when I asked it.
Well, there's a reason.
Yeah, well, I think that I'm the only quarterback that ever played that could not throw a wet football. So I'm going to stop asking that question.
I don't understand how, with the size of your hands, you couldn't throw a wet ball, and somebody like Kevin Cobb or Aaron Rodgers had no issue with that.
Hey, I don't know either. But, actually, I'm not the only quarterback, because Kevin Cobb said that A.J. Feely, when he was with the team, that he would have an absolute panic attack if he was scheduled to play, and the day before it was calling for rain.
21. Hold on.
30 seconds left. No timeouts.
Bring it in.
Pressure off the edge. Rodgers sidesteps it and will head out of bounds on the Eagles side of midfield at the 48, a gain of 7.
You talk about the ineptness of the Philadelphia Eagles offense. I've been awfully impressed with what I've seen of this Eagles defense. And Sean McDermott, he found out that it's a short honeymoon as well last year, replacing Jim Johnson. And in a lot of people's minds, that was a defense that didn't play particularly well. I disagree. I think the defense was good in a lot of areas and did the things that you're used to seeing from the Philadelphia Eagles. But getting tested here today the way that they are against a pretty good offensive unit, they've held up well. Otherwise, this wouldn't even be a ball game.
2nd down and 3. Rodgers over the middle, hits James Jones. And Jones wisely gets out of bounds. They're going to give Jones progress to the 45, and that should be enough for a first down, and that's upsetting to Sean McDermott. Now 15 seconds left.
Now, Sean was thinking that they should have kept the clock running. I'm not sure why he was I understand why he wanted it to keep running, but I don't know why he thought that the officials should keep it running. Clearly, he got out of bounds with forward momentum.
So 15 seconds left. And you would expect this next play to head toward the sideline. No timeouts. We're getting close to field goal range. Instead, it's over the middle, and we'll see if the Packers can set up and spike it. 6 seconds, 5 seconds, 4 seconds, and with 2 seconds left, as our Fox box shows 0, 2 seconds were left when Rodgers spiked it. The Green Bay Packers are inside at the outer edge, but inside field goal range for Mason Crosby. Right now you're looking at a 55, 56-yard try, the career-long 53 yards for Crosby, who was hitting from this distance to the other end of the field. We'll see if he can do it kicking down to our right. A line drive kick, and Crosby is good. 56 yards, and the Green Bay Packers lead it 13-3. A half a play in the books. Rodgers got him in position. They didn't sit on it. That's what the Packers do. Back after this from your... Here in Philadelphia today, they celebrate the 50th anniversary of the 1960 NFL championship team. That's why they're wearing the different color jerseys. Jerseys that were worn by this franchise from 1955 to 1968. Little old, little new. And there are the surviving members of the 1960 NFL championship team. Team that was led by the late, great Norm Van Brocklin. He was the MVP of the league. That was his last year, and he went out a winner. Now we're seeing the debut, really, in a way, of the Kevin Kolb era, and this is going to be a real interesting second half here in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I mean, they offensively, they've got 3 first downs there in the first half. They've converted 1 third down. Their longest play is Michael Vick on a 3rd and long. I mean, just not a lot of good things have taken place. They've got to come into this second half, really, and go back to square one, much like what they had in mind when the game began. And they've got to try to develop some type of rhythm offensively and start getting some players more involved. And that starts, obviously, with Kevin Kolb throwing the ball a little bit better than what we saw there in the first half.
Mason Crosby had that not just career best, but franchise record 56-yard field goal at the end of the first half to make it a 10-point game, and Ellis Hobbs on the return of 20 yards. Eagles have it, and we go down to the field, and Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, as the Eagles left the field, they left to a smattering of boos. The Packers, meanwhile, feeling pretty good about themselves. I asked Mike McCarthy how the offense was able to get itself going. He said, we just settled down, but he says it's up to me to really get us to start running the ball. Defensively, he was completely complimentary of that group, and he says we just got to keep everything in front of us, including Vick and Kolb. Back to you.
Well, I'll tell you, Michael Vick starts the second half as the quarterback, and Kevin Kolb is on the sideline. He hurt his jaw in the first half, don't forget. Saw him warming up before the start of this half as B.J. Raji can't bring down Michael Vick. It's what Vick does. Michael Vick, an electric start to this second half. 23 yards as Vick made a lot out of nothing.
Well, B.J. Raji right here in the middle. He gets around. Todd Harriman's the left guard, and that's what flushes Michael Vick then out of the pocket. And because of his speed, you see Brad Jones, he's not able to go and keep him inside, and there ain't no running out of bounds for Michael Vick.
Meanwhile, Kevin Kolb is not on the sideline. He and Stuart Bradley, we are just told, are both out with concussions. So this is now Michael Vick's team, at least for the rest of this half, as LaShawn McCoy carries it for 6 yards.
And I would have to believe that, you know, Andy Reid and Marty Mornwick, they go to an entirely different playbook from the one that Kevin Kolb was using, and that's a good thing because that playbook in the first half wasn't real good. But you know, they're going to have to now incorporate a lot of running, and a lot more running than certainly what we've seen or what we're accustomed to. And it'll be interesting now to see how Michael Vick is able to throw the football.
2nd down and 4. Vick underneath. Eldrick Buckley stays on his feet inside the 40. Ball comes out. Certainly looked like Buckley was down, but they're letting him play on. And now they're saying it's Green Bay's football. This will be interesting to take a look at the replay to see if Buckley was down. The ball came out awfully late. Let's take a look.
It's a little loose there, but I was.
Oh, Woodson knocked it
On
out.
the field is a catch, then a fumble, recovered by Green Bay, down by contact, 1st and 10. Green Bay.
That's Charles Woodson, who forced 4 fumbles last year. He knocked it out, and that was a good call down on the field.
Yeah, it sure was, because I was with you, Joe. Initially, I thought that he was down before the ball came out, and why wouldn't it be Charles Woodson? You called it. Last year, led the team in forced fumbles. Of course, he had a career-high 9 interceptions, the defending Defensive Player of the Year, making more big plays in this game.
So now the Eagles turn it over for the first time, and the handoff is to Brandon Jackson. No Ryan Grant. Michael can't bring down Jackson. Remember, Ryan Grant left in the first half. We were told was going to get his ankle retaped. Kevin Kolb is out of the lineup. Stuart Bradley is out of the lineup. This has been a rough day as you look at the injuries. Ryan Grant with the ankle, and there's Grant. Still a little gimpy on the sideline. Jamal Jackson, the center, out with an elbow. Leonard Weaver, a nasty knee injury. Kolb and Bradley, concussions. 2nd and 3. Play action from Rodgers, going to air it out for Jennings. Downfield and overthrown. It's 3rd and 3.
Pretty good idea right there, the kind of speed that Greg Jennings has, because they had 2 defenders. Quentin Michael, the safety, was given help to Ellis Hobbs, and yet Greg Jennings was still able to get in behind him.
So it's a 3rd down and an opportunity here for the Philadelphia defense to come up with a stop after the fumble by Buckley. Pressure from Cole doesn't get there, and the pass complete to Driver for a 1st down. A 7-yard completion on 3rd and 3.
Well, Trent Cole's been getting after Aaron Rodgers throughout this game, and because the ball's coming out so quickly, they just turn him loose, knowing that he's got to come from wide on the outside, and the ball should be out of Rodgers' hands before Cole gets there. That's exactly what happens. Donald Driver had a clean release off the ball and an easy completion for the 1st down.
Philadelphia just 86 yards of total offense. 1st down, Green Bay.
Green 18! Green 18!
Handoff is to Jackson, running left. Cole makes the play. Trent Cole has had a good start to this game, and he was helped out by Ernie Sims, the 1st-year weak side linebacker of the Eagles, formerly with the Lions.
Yeah, in fact, defensive coordinator Sean McDermott, when he was talking about Ernie Sims, he says that he's a shark in the water, and they are awfully excited about him. They compared him with Brian Dawkins from the standpoint that you got to know where he is. Offenses better know where Ernie Sims is, because he's a guy who can create a lot of problems.
Quick throw, and is almost intercepted by Asante Samuel. In a great position to take it all the way, and he came up empty. Stepped in front of Driver.
Sure was. Really well played. Asante Samuel cluing in. He immediately drives on the slant. He's anticipating it. And we talked about it a little bit earlier in the game. That's what the Packers like to do, especially from their one-back sets. That was the game plan coming in defensively for the Eagles. He had an opportunity for the interception, just fails to make the play.
It's 3rd and 9. just get the play away. Rodgers over the middle, slings it for Finley. And Jermichael Finley has a first down inside the 30 to the 27, a 20-yard completion.
And we saw the Eagles come up and show that they were going to come with an inside blitz, all-out blitz. Aaron Rodgers audible then at the line of scrimmage, checking it so that he could block it up. The Eagles do what you would expect. They then checked out of it themselves, did not bring the pressure, but yet nobody's able to get under Jermichael Finley. They give him a free release off the line of scrimmage, and I can tell you that for a guy who they got to keep an eye on, you don't want to give him free releases off the line of scrimmage.
Well, it was Gaither who gave him the free release. Remember, Bradley's out of this game with a concussion. Handoff to Brandon Jackson, a gain of only 1.
You know, the only way you really effectively slow down a tight end of the caliber of a Jermichael Finley or these other top tight ends around the league is you got to redirect them off the line, because when they come off the line of scrimmage uncontested, they're so fast and so athletic that they're on the safeties before anyone knows it, and that puts those guys in a real bind.
Second down and 9 as the Green Bay Packers are trying to take that forced fumble by Charles Woodson and turn it into points. Handoff is to the fullback. That's John Kuhn. And Kuhn keeps on plowing down inside the 15 to the 14. So even without Ryan Grant, the running game is starting to pick it up for Green Bay.
Well, you watch these three guys here. The center, Scott Wells, left guard Darren College, as well as Josh Sitton on the right side. And the push that Sitton got there, I mean, you're going to pick up a lot of yards when you've got a guard. You know, probably one of the most underrated offensive linemen in all of football. This guy's going to be a household name at some point, but he's a terrific player and just had one heck of a block.
Handoff to Jackson, running right now right up the middle, and Jackson has got a first down inside the 5. Packers, who are 1 for 1 and scoring a touchdown inside the red zone, will have a first and goal just outside the 3.
Well, you just saw the life kind of get taken out of Philadelphia when they got the opening kickoff to start this second half. Had some good things happening for them, and then the fumble, and you know, for Green Bay to then take possession and just drive this ball right down on Philadelphia is going to be tough on the Eagles to try to come back from.
It is Kuhn again, and he walks in for the touchdown, Green Bay. John Kuhn, who was listed as a fullback but now is the backup halfback behind Brandon Jackson, pounds it in. He had 1 rushing touchdown last season, and here in game 1 2010 he's into the end zone with a 3-yard touchdown run. It's 20-3. It's 20-3. The Eagles are without Kevin Kolb, out with a concussion. It'll be in the hands of Michael Vick if the Eagles are going to come back here today, down by 17 to Green Bay. Well, this is a subdued scene here in Philadelphia. All of the hype, all of the questions about the start of the Kevin Kolb era. Now he's out with a concussion. And it's in the lap of Michael Vick. Kicking a wet ball out of bounds is Crosby. And it'll be a good start to this drive for the Eagles at their own 40, down by 17. So the Packers pound it in. John Kuhn got the touchdown. Sean McDermott trying to explain to Andy Reid. Pack up 17. Kevin Kolb family disappointed and certainly concerned for Kevin, who is out with a concussion.
Wait, Eddie. What is it?
So now it's Michael Vick, who slings it into the ground in the direction of Jeremy Maclin. And here's the day and the injury for Kevin Kolb, who will end today 5 for 10, 24 yards, sacked twice, and this one gave him a concussion. It was Clay Matthews who was up his back. I said he had come out to warm up prior to the second half. My eyes were lying. He is still in the locker room or getting evaluated, and it's all on Michael Vick.
What is it? What is it?
Looked like the left tackle, Jason Peters, flinched.
Ball start. Number 71. Offense. 5-yard penalty. Second down.
That is 8 penalties against the Philadelphia Eagles. They were the 3rd most penalized team last season.
Yeah, not a lot gone right here for the Philadelphia Eagles, and that's almost to be expected there with Jason Peters when you've got a new quarterback coming in and someone who had not taken a lot of snaps with this first group. A different cadence, off just a little bit. These guys are anticipating the count and win a little early.
2nd and 15. Over the middle, pass is caught by Avant. Nice grab in front of Charles Woodson, a gain of 10.
Well, nothing's come real easy for Philadelphia. Even that one there to Jason Avant. Charles Woodson was in awfully good coverage and a well-placed ball by Michael Vick, even giving Avant an opportunity to make a play.
Michael Vick, who missed 2007, 2008, last year had a minimum impact for the Eagles, in better shape here in 2010. 3rd and 5. Blitz. Vick gets rid of it, and there's the first catch for Deshaun Jackson. And Vick got absolutely plastered by Clay Matthews. A gain of 12.
Well, there was some movement there by that defensive front, and then Clay Matthews came in off a twist, and Nick Cole probably should have been the guy coming off of that and picking up the block, but another free run on a quarterback for Clay Matthews.
He's already taken Cobb out of the game, and he took a blast into Michael Vick. Vick steps up and throws. That's Avant, and the pass is caught for 4 yards.
You mentioned it a little bit earlier in the game, Joe, the fact that Clay Matthews last year primarily lined up on the right defensive side of the ball. Well, this year he's making that transition to the left side, but as Dom Capers said, hey, we're going to move him around. I mean, they moved him around a lot last year as a rookie, and he was able to absorb a lot of information. A very intelligent player, and they continue to move him around in this game.
3rd generation in the NFL. Clay Matthews, his grandfather played for San Francisco. This is Vick. Took off just about right away and picked up 3. Brent Selleck, who was the leading receiver for the Eagles last year with 76 catches, just under 1,000 yards, does not have a catch. And Deshaun Jackson has just the 1.
Yeah, and that's why they haven't done much here in this game, because the 2 guys who you really want to feed the ball to haven't had a chance to even touch it.
Maybe in 4-down territory here, the Eagles, it's 3rd and 3. Good protection. Vick over the middle. Pass is caught. And forward progress of Deshaun Jackson is enough for a first down. And so for the first time today, with Michael Vick at quarterback, the Eagles start to move the ball.
Well, I saw Charles Woodson get up from that tackle, and he looked at the sticks right away to see if he got the first down. It seemed like it might have been a generous spot as far as where his forward progress had ended at the time that he had actually made the catch.
Woodson, who jammed a toe, the same toe he broke back in 2008 in practice on Friday, is moving around great.
Wait, Eddie!
Coming on a blitz. McCoy picks him up. Vick trying to make it happen. Has room to run. In front of Barnett. And out of bounds inside the 5.
Well, you're going to see Clay Matthews here. He's going to be able to get past Winston Justice there at right tackle, and he's the reason that Michael Vick has to get out of the pocket It's the pressure by Matthews that causes Vic to scramble, and some of the best plays that we've seen from Philadelphia here today have come when they've been able to get pressure on him, and then he's done what he does best, and that's just scrambling out in the open field.
7 carries, 77 yards. That was a 31-yard run. He's still got it.
He's got to stop rushing him.
Here is McCoy for the touchdown. Philadelphia penalty flag comes in at the end. And it's a hold.
Holding, number 82, offense, 10-yard penalty, replay, first down.
That's the rookie Clay Harbor, guilty of the hold, and now Jason Peters, the Pro Bowl left tackle, is down on his back in the end zone.
Yeah, Clay Harbor, he went right after Charles Woodson and got the hold on him.
So no touchdown for McCoy. There's Woodson getting held, 21 by 82 Harbor. Take the points off the board as they check on Jason Peters. Now they look at Jason Peters on the sideline. A hold on the part of the rookie. Clay Harbor takes the touchdown off the board. First and goal from just inside the 12. Vic over the middle, pass incomplete. Avant wants a flag and doesn't get it. Covered by Woodson. Here's the incompletion to Jason Avant.
Yeah, they've had Charles Woodson on Jason Avant now the last few times he's been in the slot, and it's been awfully tight coverage. I thought it was a good play there by Charles Woodson.
Good drive. Eagles looking for life. Second and goal. Quick snap and the handoff is to McCoy. Touchdown, Philadelphia.
A pretty good job up front. You're going to see right guard Nick Cole. He's going to block here. Harriman's going to block here. And then you've got LaShawn McCoy going right down the middle of it. Just good execution there of creating a nice lane for LaShawn McCoy and then breaking a tackle at the end of the play for the touchdown.
McGlynn, who's now at center, got a lot of the jersey of B.J. Raji as McCoy went by him. This to make it a 10-point game. And the 3-time Pro Bowl quarterback, Michael Vick, takes the Eagles down the field. He has given the fans here packed into the stadium hope. Philly down by 10. It was obvious from the start. Andy Reid wanted to establish Michael Vick early. Little did he know, Reid would lose his starting quarterback, the young Kevin Kolb, to a concussion. Vick with a 31-yard run on that last drive, and when he accomplished that, he became the third quarterback in NFL history to go over 4,000 rushing yards. Joining longtime Eagle Randall Cunningham and Steve Young in that category. Here's Jordy Nelson. And Nelson with a good return. Akers can't bring him down. And it was Moses Foku who from behind saved a touchdown. 51-yard return by Jordy Nelson. We'll take a break and come back. Packers have it up by 10. So much has been written about the return game of the Green Bay Packers coming into the season. Will Blackman came up with an injury settlement, couldn't come back from knee surgery in time to start the year. So Jordy Nelson gets the job, and he comes up with a big return, 51 yards to set up the Packers first down, and Brandon Jackson carries it into Eagle territory, picked up 2.
Yeah, I mean, you go back to the return by Jordy Nelson, just nobody getting off blocks. You see there, Joselio Hansen, he's not able to get off a block and make a play, and your offense is finally able to get something going and get back into this game, only to give up great field position to this Packers offense because of poor special teams coverage.
So pressure on the Eagles defense to come up with a stop. Now second down and 8.
Green 19!
Jackson gets around Omar Gaither, still going. Down to the 31-yard line, and Omar Gaither, who's filling in for the injured Stuart Bradley out with a concussion, missed.
It's got to drive, I'm sorry, Joe, it's got to drive Sean McDermott crazy, because he actually calls a pretty good twist there with his linebackers, and Omar Gaither, he just overran it. There's a hole there. He's unblocked. He's there to make a play, and he overruns the ball.
So a big hole in the middle of this defense for the Eagles.
9-6, run.
Jackson again, and now he's brought down behind the line of scrimmage. Bunkley is in there for Philadelphia. Gaither was in there to help, and a loss of 1.
You know, coming into this season, Joe, as far as what a lot of people were saying and talking about the Philadelphia Eagles was how young they were, you know, but yet I didn't quite get all that, because, I mean, yeah, they're young and they've got young, skillful players offensively, but it's the same guys that were there a year ago. And really it came down to the quarterback position, and then defensively, yeah, they've shuffled the deck a little bit, but you know, they've still got playmakers on both sides of the ball.
Second and 11. Rodgers, Jennings, open, touchdown Green Bay. And Aaron Rodgers made it look easy. Greg Jennings into the end zone. Driver got the first, and now number 85, good for 32 yards.
Well, Hobbs doesn't do anything. You know, Greg Jennings, he jumps outside, and Greg Jennings just runs right by him, and Aaron Rodgers had all day in the pocket. Good job up front by the interior offensive lineman. Gave him a nice place to step up. No pressure on the outside. But that's what you do in pre-practice warm-ups. You know, that wasn't even against a defender or against a rush.
And it's 27-10. So the quick answer by the Green Bay Packers, and Ellis Hobbs just shaking his head. Let's go back 2 plays. On the run by Brandon Jackson, Ellis Hobbs drills up high Greg Jennings. And then 2 plays later, Greg Jennings goes right around Ellis Hobbs and is good for a 32-yard touchdown throw.
Yeah, I don't quite get that one. He does it on one play, and then on another play, he lets a guy run right by him without, you know, any contact whatsoever. That's what I talked about a little bit earlier. Greg Jennings, he you know, this guy can run, and that's not a great example of what had just happened on that touchdown, but he can get up on people in a real hurry. So sometimes when you're playing soft in an off technique, he's by you before you really know it. But he just, you can see Greg Jennings right there. He's talking, he can't believe it either. I mean, Ellis Hobbs just jumped to the outside and didn't do anything. I mean, he's telling everybody right there the technique that Hobbs used.
All smiles on the far sideline. And now Michael Vick will try to answer. There's only 1:56 left in the 3rd quarter. Here's Hobbs. Decent return out across the 30. Derek Martin on the stop. Some of the early game headliners. Eli Manning threw 3 picks, but threw for 3 touchdowns. Was 20 for 30, 263 yards, and a 1-0 start for the Giants. Big day for Matt Forte. And Arian Foster for the Texans in a big win, Troy, at home over the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah, it was. It was a lot expected of the Texans, but Matt Forte, I saw a little bit of that game. I mean, it looked like he's being used like Marshall Faulk was there in St. Louis, with March now calling the plays for the Bears.
Vick slings it, pass is caught by Jackson, who goes backward to the 35, a gain of only 3. It is a rare situation that the Eagles have, that you have a 3-time Pro Bowler as a backup quarterback, and a guy with a skill set like Michael Vick, a different set of skills than anybody else in the league with his legs. And he's 6 of 8 throwing it. Hand off to McCoy. Pickett in on the stop. And he gets 2.
Well, you can see how when Michael Vick's in the game,
And that could change. I mean, it could certainly change if he's expected then to play next week when they have to travel to Detroit. You know, that playbook will probably expand a little bit, but it's obvious right now with Michael Vick in there that, you know, they are running the ball a little bit more. It's a little bit more play action types of things and doing it a little bit differently from the style of play that they would have if Kevin Kolb was within the pocket throwing from there.
It's 3rd down and 5. Vick gets outside and then throws behind Avant. Looked like he had room to run for the 1st down, but decided to throw it. And with 34 seconds left in the 3rd quarter, the Eagles go 3 and out when they can least afford to.
Well, I didn't get a chance to ask Michael Vick if he could throw a wet ball, so it could be due to the weather.
Looked like he had room to run. We'll show you some of the key injuries that have happened here today as Sav Rocca will punt it back to Green Bay. And Tramon Williams gets hit after a fair catch. And Eldra Buckley, who already has turned it over offensively for the Philadelphia Eagles, hits Tramon Williams after he calls for a fair catch.
Yeah, Eldra Buckley better stay as far away from Andy Reid as he heads to the sideline as he can, because he already said, as you said, Joe, he had the costly fumble.
Number 34.
It's pretty clear there on the
15-yard penalty.
fair catch.
Foul. 1st down.
Clear fair catch signal, and Buckley didn't see it. He was also in on that kickoff coverage when Jordy Nelson took it for 51 yards right up the middle, and Andy Reid's got to be frustrated with just about everything that's happened here today.
Yeah, and how about when we saw him on Friday? I mean, he was so excited about this young team. He said it had energized him, and I mean, you could tell he was really looking forward to watching this team play. That you could sense that he felt that the team was going to come out and play really, really well.
Jackson over the right side. Bunkley on the stop. Here are the injuries. Here are the players who are out for the rest of the game. Ryan Grant with an ankle. Jamal Jackson with an elbow. Everybody was concentrating on his left knee. That was the problem for Leonard Weaver. Kevin Kolb and Stuart Bradley both out with concussions. It has been a rough day for the Philadelphia Eagles. They trail here at home in the opener 27-10. Back after this from your local Fox station. Brandon Jackson has taken over for Ryan Grant. He is the leading rusher for Green Bay. Now 2 touchdowns, 1 pick for Aaron Rodgers. Rick Jennings has had a nice day.
4 down, 9-6 to Mike.
2nd and 7.
Hey. Bump, bump. Bump, bump.
Blue 58.
Alert.
Blue 15.
Jackson left side. Picks up 2. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt Menefee.
Well, we're not even through with week 1, but don't hand the NFC West to San Francisco just yet. Deion Branch with a touchdown reception from Matt Hasselbeck. 28 unanswered points by the Seahawks, and they lead San Francisco in the 4th quarter 28-6. Go Troy and Pam.
Well, they've been a trendy pick. Yeah, San Francisco 49ers in the NFC West, and they're getting taken apart.
Yeah, I didn't see that happen.
It's 3rd and 5. Rodgers throws, and the pass incomplete for James Jones. That time Hobbs was on the coverage, and it's 4th down.
Yeah, Aaron Rodgers disappointed in himself on that one because the Eagles brought pressure up the middle, and the offensive line sealed it up pretty well. He tried to throw the back shoulder ball there to Jennings, and a stop that the Eagles needed to have.
Hobbs has taken the place of Sheldon Brown, who was traded to Cleveland. Sheldon Brown had 5 interceptions last year with the Eagles. Now it's Ellis Hobbs. Samuel the starters, as they were for that 18-1 New England Patriots team a few years ago. Here's Jackson trying to make something happen. The ball just slips out of his hands, but goes out of bounds. They will mark it at the 21. Eagles back to offense, down by 17. We go then and now as they honor the 1960 NFL championship team that played at Franklin Field. Eagles beat Vince Lombardi's Packers 17-13. Chuck Bednarik stopped Jim Taylor at the 8. His time ran out. Hall of Famers Bednarik, Tommy McDonald, part of that team, and we're honored here today. Yesterday they were all taken out to Franklin Field to recreate their original team photo. And that's why the Eagles paid tribute 50th anniversary wearing the throwback jerseys. That was Vince Lombardi's only playoff loss.
Only one word comes to mind when I see the Kelly green. That's pain.
Here is a throw by Vick as he hits Macklin underneath for a first down. That's the color they were wearing basically when some of those great defensive players were driving you into the thin turf at the vet.
Kelly green, the same helmets. I saw those and I thought, oh my.
Buddy Ryan with a little smile.
Liked his mouth. Yeah, he always did like inflicting a little pain on the opposing team's quarterback.
First down. And underneath it's McCoy. Decent blocking in front of him, and LeSean McCoy is going to be marked down at the 39. Time continues to run, an 8-yard catch and run by McCoy, who has a touchdown run in this game.
Well, what we sure have seen is, this offense get a little energy, a little life. Once Michael Vick came in here to start this second half, we talked about it. The fumble there on that first possession, but they've moved the ball and they've done some pretty good things with it.
Second down and 2. Vick throws high for Avant. And it's 3rd and 2, which then leads me to the obvious question. I'll be the guy to ask it. Okay. Here we are in Philadelphia. Kevin Kolb, his first opening day start, he went a half. He didn't have a ton of protection, sacked twice, 5 of 10, 24 yards. Vick has at least injected some life into this offense. What are we looking at in the next couple of weeks going forward?
Well, I think the first question is the health of Kevin Kolb, and we don't know what his situation is going to be, but provided the fact that he is healthy, just from observing Andy Reid all these years, Kevin Kolb is his quarterback.
It's 3rd and 2. Vick, that ball's dropped by Macklin, but a flag is thrown. Avant was looking for a flag, and it's going to be a defensive hold, which is an automatic first down.
Yeah, it was a good call. You can see Charles Woodson there in the slot.
Defense, number 21, 5-yard penalty, automatic, first down.
You can bump him within the 5 yards, but you can't hold a guy and keep him from continuing on his route. And that's what Charles Woodson did.
It's where there were people in this league, respected people, who thought when Charles Woodson left the Raiders in 2006 and came to Green Bay that he was finished.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm respected, but I was one of those guys. I sure did. And I'm not so sure Charles Woodson didn't think that maybe he was done, but I think he rededicated himself and realized that he needed to pick it up if he was going to have better play.
Here's one to Selleck. What a throw and catch. And the team's leading receiver from a year ago gets his first. 28 yards on a beautiful throw from Michael Vick.
Yeah, Selleck's on the end of the line, and they try to jam him up, but he's going down the middle here. And a well-thrown ball by Michael Vick. You can see there's just not a lot of space there. You've got to get that thing over the linebacker pretty quickly before those safeties become a factor, and Michael Vick was able to do just that.
Vick. And you get one, and now you get another. To the 24-yard line is Selleck, good for 5 yards. Chiller on the stop. Chiller wrestled the ball away from Selleck, but they marked him down.
What I've seen from Michael Vick has been impressive. He's done what you expect to see from him with his feet, but he has stood in the pocket and thrown the ball very well. And I don't know how much work he got with these particular receivers throughout training camp.
On second down, good pocket, and the pass is caught by Jason Avant.
No, Joe, that looks like a ball that maybe wasn't thrown very well, but it was actually a perfectly thrown pass because you see the defenders there where he had to throw it. Now, was Avant able to bring that in? And that's going to be the question. I think it's a catch.
I do too.
I mean, the tip of the ball clearly hit the ground, but I think he had control of the ball. But that was a pretty tight fit there that Michael Vick had, and he forced Avant to pull up and make a difficult catch.
No challenge flag from the Green Bay sideline. First and goal. Vick over the middle, and Selleck, the intended target, was mugged by Nick Barnett. No flag.
Yeah, he's just running a square, and he's got to get across Nick Barnett's face, and I think it was close. I think it was a ball that was out in front. I'm not so sure he's going to be able to make that play anyway, but it was close as to whether or not there was contact made prior to the ball getting there.
Second and goal. Ball is at the 9. 11 minutes left. The Eagles have got to get this ball into the end zone. Blitz. Vick is brought down. And the play is made out on the edge by a rookie, Frank Zombo. Undrafted out of Central Michigan, and he comes up with a huge sack.
Well, they bring pressure, and so the left tackle, Jason Peters, the rule number 1 for any offensive lineman is you've got to secure your inside first, and that's what Jason Peters did. He took inside pressure, which then freed Zombo off the edge, and Michael Vick simply didn't see it.
So third Packers sack, and it's third and goal. The ball is all the way back to 17. Protection for Vick into the end zone. Touchdown, Macklin. Some impressive throws on that drive by Michael Vick.
Good block here by Nick Cole. He comes off of it on the twist, picks up Clay Matthews, who's been disruptive all day, gives Vick a chance to step up in the pocket, and really a nice route by Jeremy Macklin coming back and then making the catch.
Michael Vick, 12 of 17 throwing at 124 yards. Now the touchdown. He's rushed it for 77 yards. Vick is responsible for 201 total yards of offense. And now it's a 10-point game with over 10 minutes to play. And even a little celebration from Andy Reid. Eagles trying to fight their way back. There's the scoring drive. Michael Vick, 6 of 8, made some impressive throws, 82 yards. It culminated on a 17-yard touchdown to Jeremy Macklin. Nice catch. And now Jordy Nelson, who has a 51-yard return to his credit in this game, gets another big one. And the kickoff coverage has been a disappointment as Moses Foku makes the tackle. A disappointing day for this kickoff coverage team of the Eagles. A 40-yard return by Nelson. Packers have it up 10. Bobby April's been stomping around on the sideline. His first year as a special teams coordinator for Andy Reid. He's been a coach in the league a long time. Disappointed with his kickoff coverage. Trying to slow down Jordy Nelson. Aaron Rodgers throws it away in the direction of Greg Jennings. 2nd and 10 with 10 minutes left in what is now a 10-point game.
Well, right now the special teams, the last 2 returns have been atrocious. They get the ball on the 50-yard line, they get the ball on the 40-yard line. Offensively, you go down and you make a game of this, and it's hard. It is awfully hard on a defensive unit to not give up points when you're handing the ball to any offense, let alone an offense as explosive as what this one can be on the 40-yard line.
Blue 58! Blue 58!
Jackson goes sideways and now backward. Lost 2. Brandon Graham, the rookie, was the first one in there.
Good job up front by everybody involved with that Eagles defense, collapsing the pocket there and not giving them anywhere to run with the football.
It's 3rd down and 12. Blitz. Packers pick it up. Over the middle. Pass intercepted. That's the rookie Nate Allen. And he takes it to midfield as Aaron Rodgers throws his 2nd pick of the game. That wet football took off out of the hand of Aaron Rodgers into the belly of Nate Allen, and the Eagles have life, down 10. First NFL interception for Nate Allen, who ironically was taken in the 2nd round with a pick the Eagles got when they traded Donovan McNabb to the Washington Redskins. Sets up the Eagles at midfield, and that pass is behind DeSean Jackson.
We'll go back and take a look at the interception, and you're going to see Donald Driver coming through here. The Eagles bring pressure, but it's blocked up beautifully. And this, as you said, Joe, I think it's just a ball that got away from him because of the rain and the moisture that's in the air, because he had a chance on Driver, and Driver points out the blitz there by Hansen, and Mark Tauscher, the right tackle, does a great job. But I think that one just got away from him. And you talk about Nate Allen getting his first interception, and he won't have an easier one no matter how many more years he plays.
2nd and 10. And a blitz. Eagles pick it up. And this one is just flipped to the sideline as Vic reminds us all how strong his throwing arm is. First down, DeSean Jackson.
Well, they finally contest Sam Shields a little bit. Sam Shields is a rookie free agent who's only played corner for 1 season. That was last year at the University of Miami. And I expected them to be going after him throughout this game, and they've just been unable to do so. And Sam Shields knows that he's playing against one of the fastest guys in all of football, and he's giving him a lot of cushion out there on the outside.
I like the way Vic has this team run up at the line, ready to go. Calling the play, not huddling. As Vic pulls it down, trying to outrun Colin Jenkins, he does, and he gets knocked out of bounds by Brandon Chiller. A gain of 1.
Looked like Michael Vick was trying to come back to DeSean Jackson. DeSean Jackson, you see him there, looked like he maybe wasn't running all that hard, but it was because there was safety help over the top, and he wasn't expecting then Michael Vick to come with him with the football. But Vick was able to at least escape the pocket and pick up 1 yard.
A 106.5 quarterback rating for Vick, who throws it. And no reaction really by DeSean Jackson as it sails by him. It's 3rd and 9.
I think that one got on him a lot faster than what he was anticipating, and Vick just had to unload it.
So 3rd down and 9. The ball is at the 37. They are in the outer reaches of field goal range for Akers, whose career long is 57. This will be a 55-yard try from here. Vic sets up a screen, blocking for LeSean McCoy, and a big play on 3rd down to the 10.
It's just set up beautifully, Joe. Todd Harriman's the left guard, gets out and makes a key block. You're going to see him right here. A 3-man rush, 8 guys into coverage, zone coverage. Harriman's makes the big block. You see there on Brad Jones, and a nice job by the other 2 big guys up front, and then LeSean McCoy breaking across the grain. A big 3rd down conversion there for the Eagles.
27 yards on 3rd and 9. 1st and goal. Back to the ground game. McCoy cuts upfield to the 5. Brandon Schiller on the tackle.
You know, I thought it even in the first half, Joe. I know they'd given up a couple sacks with Kevin Kolb there in that first half, but considering the disarray that this offensive line was in coming into this game and how little time these guys had worked together, Jamal Jackson, of course, had not worked there at all, and now Mike McGlynn is back in there at center, and you know, Nick Cole coming in back at right guard, and you know, they have gotten some good things going here in this second half, and overall I think they've put together a pretty good performance as a group.
Deshaun Jackson at the top of the screen. Underneath, it's McCoy, and that does nothing. Ball comes out. Play is dead. Crowd doesn't like the call, and it's 3rd and goal. Rapinga in there to make the stop. And the wide eyes of Andy Reid and the play calling of Marty Mornhinweg.
They didn't like the call, huh?
No.
They never did. They only like the ones that work. Isn't that how that works?
They have that right.
Ernie Zampese used to tell us, yeah, I don't mind if you don't like my calls, but your only reason for not liking it can't be because it didn't work.
6 minutes left. 3rd and goal.
Keep an eye on Riley Cooper. He's a rookie down here at the bottom, a big guy they like to use in the red zone.
6'3", 222. Vick almost goes down. Throws incomplete. There was room in front of Michael Vick, but he decided to throw, and it's 4th and goal.
Yeah, and had he have come out here to Riley Cooper right away, again, he's working against Sam Shields. I mean, there's a huge size advantage there that he could have just laid it there to the corner. And then we go back to the end of that one and miss Jeremy Maclin as well. I mean, down here, when you start playing in the red zone for the quarterback, things happen awfully quick. That was pretty dangerous there when you start throwing it in the middle with all those bodies.
In the back of the end zone by the game clock, Nick Collins looks to be down. There's Collins, who's in on that collision with Nick Barnett. And Collins, his momentum carried him back to that wall, and now he's down getting looked at by the training staff of the Packers.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Joe, to go back to Michael Vick, had he have been able to make a decision quicker, he had about 4 guys that he could have gotten the ball to that would have all probably scored touchdowns. And well, that's hard. That's hard when you're not used to getting those reps down here in this area of the field because it happens so quick. And there's a lot of bodies, a lot of those crossing routes, and you know, Michael Vick just trying to keep the play alive, but this was a risky throw when you're throwing it late where he just threw it.
I'll say not only did he have a chance to make a quick decision, I think at the end of that play he had a chance to run.
Yeah. But if nothing else, I mean, David Akers makes this field goal. Now you've cut it to a 1-possession game and you put the pressure right back on Green Bay.
It's a 23-yard try for Akers, who has hit from 45. This to make it a 7-point game. It's 27-20. Plenty to talk about with Pam Oliver. A lot of injuries in this game. Let's go down to Pam.
Injuries and field conditions, Joe. With the moisture and rain, footing is going to be a problem as we progress in this game. We saw a big slip there. The equipment people have been diligent about the players cleaning off their cleats every chance they get. We've had 4 football games at this stadium in the last 11 days, including Temple University. Starting to see some chunks of the field fly up too, Joe.
All right, well, you look at Ryan Grant, who injured his right ankle. He's got a walking boot on the sideline for Green Bay. Their 1,200-yard back from a year ago. Brandon Jackson's been pretty good, filling in for him, and John Kuhn behind him in running back. But now you've got each side with 3 timeouts, 5:43 left, and it's a 1-score game.
Yeah, game on. And to follow up with what Pam just said, I was down there on the field before the game, and I thought the field was, as good as I had seen it. Now you expect that in week 1, but still, having said that, you could tell that there had been a lot of play on this field, and then you get some moisture out there and things get pretty tore up in a hurry.
Jordy Nelson has averaged 32 yards on his last 2 returns, 51 yards and 40. Bobby April, special teams coordinator in his Eagles debut with Andy Reid, has got to have his fingers crossed that his group does a better job, as it's now a 7-point game.
Bobby April's over there crossing his fingers.
Rather short kick, little air under it, and Jordy Nelson from inside the 10. Jordy Nelson with room to run, and he crosses the 35-yard line. Not as big as the last two, but still 28 yards for Nelson. What's coming up on the first edition of the OT? Here's Curt Menefee.
Okay, thank you very much. Coming up next on the OT, we'll have all the scores and highlights from an exciting week 1, including a big upset by the Texans despite a big day from Peyton Manning. Plus, our own Mike Pereira will help us break down that controversial call in Chicago that broke the Lions' hearts. All that and more after your game on the OT.
All right, Curt. First down for Green Bay. Now they need to move the ball. And they start with it on the ground to Jackson running left. A little hesitation out to the 40. Patterson on the tackle.
Well, Green Bay spends a lot of time on this situation in practices. Situational football. 5 minutes left to play in this game, and you want to try to do everything you can not to give the ball back to Philadelphia. And so they go to the full house set with 2 fullbacks and try to see if they can't pound it out here on the ground and take some time off the clock.
So no quarterback controversy yet here in Philadelphia in your mind. And there's really a different argument you could make. Should there be? That's one argument. Will Andy Reid go away from Kevin Kolb? I think you and I both agree it'll take more than a bad first half here to make that happen.
Yeah, I mean, the decisions that went into why he's the starter and why Donovan McNabb is gone are based on the fact that they have a lot of confidence in Kevin Kolb, and I don't think that that's going to change based on one half of football. I think they're in a fortunate position that Michael Vick can come in and do what he's been able to do, but we all know Andy Reid. He's not going to buy into that.
I don't think so, but there'll be a lot of conversation about it, and this team has taken off under Michael Vick. Timeout was taken by Philadelphia. Handoff is to Jackson, and a missed tackle by Akeem Jordan. Jackson carries it out near the first down marker. And Akeem Jordan, who's playing on the strong side here in 2010, missed a chance. And it looks like Jackson is still inches short of a first down, and I'm surprised here, Troy, that Philadelphia's spending their second timeout. But they are, with what looks to be a 3rd and inches coming up.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Andy's calling a timeout to make sure there's a measurement, or if he's calling timeout in order to try to preserve time, because I would agree with you, Joe, with the amount of time that's left in this game. I don't think that I'd be burning timeouts right now.
Well, they called for the timeout. The officials stopped the clock anyway by bringing the chains onto the field, and Andy Reid is walking out there. Meanwhile, it is enough for a first down. And you wonder if they would give that timeout back to Philadelphia because the officials had to stop the clock anyway. If not, and now John Perry's coming over to talk to Andy Reid. It's first down Green Bay, and the Eagles have only one timeout. And it looks like, well, let's see. They're going to wind the clock.
Well, they gave him back a timeout, so I'm not sure what happened right there. But there wouldn't have been. You see right here the 2 timeouts that the Eagles have. They gave him the timeout back because it would not have made sense for Andy to call timeout when they're measuring for the first down.
Well, there's 2 timeouts on our Fox box. I'm not so sure they gave it back. Here's Brandon Jackson. And now Andy Reid spends the timeout. And we're going to have to get clarification. There was a conversation because the officials had to stop the clock for the measurement. And now John Perry is over to the sideline to talk to Andy Reid. He used a timeout there. Question is, did he get it back prior to that last play?
You know, and you kind of wonder. I mean, I don't think this would be the case, but I guess
begs to ask the question is if he's trying to preserve as much time, because you wonder how much time Michael Vick has had in 2-minute offenses, with the Eagles in camp. But I got to believe that he's worked that.
Well, as of now, there are no timeouts remaining for Philadelphia. So it looked like Perry gave him the option, and he said, yeah, we take the timeout. And now there are 5 minutes, 11 seconds left, but no timeouts for Andy Reid. 2nd and 7. Handoff is to Brandon Jackson. He goes nowhere. 3rd down. The Eagles are unable to stop the clock. And it's 3rd down for Green Bay. This is an enormous play here for the Packers and Eagles with under 5 to play.
And the Packers have been awfully good throughout the day on 3rd down.
Extra men on the rush. Rodgers throws incomplete, and the Eagles defense holds.
Good call there by Sean McDermott, the defensive coordinator. He calls Quentin Michael on the blitz, and you're going to see him come off the edge here. And he's the guy that was unaccounted for and forced Aaron Rodgers to get the ball out quickly. Had he not have gotten pressure by Michael off the edge, you see Greg Jennings clearly. He's got separation and is open for an easy completion.
Now Mastay in his first year will punt it for Green Bay with Deshaun Jackson waiting. Line drive and a chance for a return. Well covered downfield, and it was Corey Hall, one of the fullbacks of the Packers, making the stop. Just a 10-yard return. So now Michael Vick heads back to the field, down by 7. We welcome in a new audience. This was a game that was dominated for the most part through 3 quarters by the Green Bay Packers, but the Philadelphia Eagles have made a comeback, and they've done it under the direction of Michael Vick, who's playing in place of the injured Kevin Cobb out with a concussion. Packers led by 17 points with 1:56 left in the 3rd quarter. The Eagles have taken over since. Philadelphia out of timeouts. 4-man rush. And Michael Vick trying to make something happen. Will use his legs and hop out of bounds with an Eagle 1st down.
Boy, what a weapon. What a weapon. To be able to drop back in the pocket and not have anywhere to go with the football, and pretty good movement up front by this defense, and then to be able to outrun people and pick up those kinds of yards. You can tell that here in this 2nd half, this defense for Green Bay is starting to get really tired, and that's because they're having to chase number 7 around the field.
Well, a spot that goes against the Eagles. They mark Vick out inches short of a 1st down, so it's 2nd and less than 1. Looked like he had enough, but they gave him 9+. And now he'll get it here. Hang on to the football and take it out to the Philadelphia 49. 16 yards from Michael Vick, who looks like Michael Vick from the Atlanta Falcons back in 05-06.
That sure does. I was going to say, it looks like the 3-time Pro Bowler from Atlanta. I mean, doing some real things. You can just see him get more and more confident as this game has unfolded. Sam Shields came in off the corner position and went right for the football. And Michael Vick doing a nice job of protecting it.
9th career 100-yard rushing game for Michael Vick. He's at 103. Vick stays on his feet and at least gets it back to the line of scrimmage. Cullen Jenkins was there early. Michael Vick is able to stay on his feet. Look at Jenkins' left hand. He had it x-rayed. Now he's playing with a club, and he is just gassed.
Oh, and the Packers have blitzed Charles Woodson a couple of times now
here in this series off the edge. And if I'm quarterbacking, I'm glad when he's blitzing and he's not back there covering somebody.
Little bobble on the snap by Vick. And Vick is wrestled down by Clay Matthews, who has had a terrific season opener. It's a sack for Matthews, who has been involved from the beginning, and now Vick gets up with his shoulder hanging.
Well, Clay Matthews, they run the twist. They've been running that move throughout this game, and then they've got to pass that off. Todd Herremans tries to pick it up. You can see Clay Matthews come right through there. But Michael Vick never knew that he was there. He thought he had a lane to where he could get up inside and pick up some pretty good yards.
The day for Matthews.
The clock was not stopped with the quarterback sack. Please reset the game clock to 2:30. 2:30, please.
They're going to put time back on the clock, 10 seconds. Clay Matthews, 6 tackles, 2 sacks, 1 forced fumble for a guy that missed 29 days during camp in the preseason. Didn't play at all during the preseason with a hamstring injury. And now the clock winds 2:20 and rolling. 3rd and 13. Four-man rush. Vick over the middle. Hits Avant. But he's short of a first down by a yard. And we will come up on the 2-minute warning with a 4th and 1 play staring at us on the other side. What a game. What an effort by number 7. Going to be interesting to see what Marty Mornhinweg, the coordinator, and Andy Reid want Michael Vick to do here on a 4th and 1, and the only hope the Eagles have is to convert right now.
Well, they're going to keep him in gun as opposed to trying to go short yardage here to pick up the yard.
How many sets of eyes are on number 7? And he carries it forward and does not get it. The Packer defense holds, and the first one there was Clay Matthews. And with no timeouts remaining, the Green Bay Packers will take over, looking at, barring the miraculous, a 1-0 start.
We'll take a look at it and see how much yardage Vick was actually able to get. You see, I mean, clearly he was short. A great job by Clay Matthews, and what a day he has had. You see him right here. He's going to take on a blocker there in Selleck, and then you've got LaShawn McCoy also leading the way, and yet he's able to shed them and get in the way there of Michael Vick, along with the rest of that defensive front.
They're going to measure, but he was clearly short, almost by a yard. I mean, that play really didn't have much to it. It was just a plow forward, hoping that he got a block and then Vick would take care of the rest. And it was Clay Matthews who won that battle.
Well, there wasn't a lot to that play. You're right, Joe. And you know, if you're going to run the quarterback sneak like that, I would have preferred to have seen him underneath center and then try to get some movement with the offensive line there. But if they weren't able to get any more movement than what they got right there, when you got one guy, Clay Matthews, and he's taking on 2 blockers and he wins those battles, it's kind of hard to argue with anything that might have been called. Probably wasn't going anywhere inside.
So the clock will wind. Andy Reid took his timeouts right around the 5-minute mark. Between the 6-minute mark and the 5-minute mark, he was left with nothing down here in the stretch. And here he is, unable to stop the clock. Green Bay Packers will be able to snap it with just over 1:10 remaining, and that will only be the 2nd down play.
Well, this is going to be a nice win for the Green Bay Packers, and there's things obviously that both teams have to work on. But if you look at what happened with Minnesota last week and losing this game on Thursday night, the Packers have an opportunity here to gain a few wins here over the Minnesota Vikings within that division.
We look back to the last time the Packers won in Philadelphia. You go back to 1962, November 11th at Franklin Field. It was a 49-0 rout. People called that a payback game for Vince Lombardi. We talked about Lombardi's only playoff loss in 1960. It had been 9 straight. Jim Taylor had 141 yards and 4 touchdowns in that game. And that streak will be broken right now.
Well, I just think the big thing is going on the road. I mean, it had been 5 years since the Packers had opened up on the road, and they were opening up against a pretty good ball club, and to win this ball game
This is a big win for this football team.
Well, who knows where the Eagles will go with their quarterback situation, or what the health status will be of Kevin Kolb and Stuart Bradley, who will have to pass the team's doctor's tests and an independent physician's tests to get back on the field. Michael Vick gave it a valiant effort, but comes up 7 points short. We'll step aside here in Philadelphia. Bonus coverage. We go to St. Louis. It's the Cardinals and the Rams. It's Ron Pitts and John Lynch. Packers win it 27-20.